All right, welcome everyone. This is a Viper Professional Training and Support webinar. Today's date is Monday, July 10th, 2017, and the title of tonight's webinar is Let's Use ObjectTrader's New Features. And as everyone knows that's been to our webinars or our live trading room, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk. Therefore, there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital. That is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar. Other webinars we might have, our trading room or anything else with Viper Trading Systems should never be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. Any questions on the disclaimer? All right. Let's see, can you please, oh, okay, yeah. Let's see, some other questions coming in. We'll need to update my PC to use the new scripts. Oh, okay. Hardy, if you have any problems with that at all, just let me know and I'll be happy to help you too. Okay. All right, because when you put the new scripts on, just a real quick heads up, some people's machines will go ahead and it doesn't even, you know, it's just like you've been licensed and you'll stay licensed. But some people's machines, depending on what version of Windows and things like that you use, even what version of Ninja, occasionally they'll come up with you don't have a license. So we just make sure and turn it on the new scripts. We always put those out, so they should run for a few days anyway, and then we turn them on for your full account. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started here. Bear with me a second. I lost my cursor. There it is. Bear with me 1 second. All right, you should be able to see a screen coming up. Bear with me a moment. First off, I'm going to ask everyone, like I do in a lot of webinars, to always make sure that you stay on the right side of the trade. You know, don't go scalping for like 4 or 5 ticks and then get slammed in the face on your runner when the trend is a particular direction until the trend changes directions. Okay? Now keep in mind there are 4 trends on your chart. We like to watch power trend 3, power meter 3, which is your lightning 3, and then we like to watch the 1 and 2 for the smaller trends. And let's just go ahead and draw it from here. By the way, this is from Sunday to last night. Okay, we're going to kind of trade around with that, and we'll see. Go ahead and put lightning 2 on here. See if I can get it to go from here. Well, we'll just go from here. It's no big deal. When it goes from one day to the next like that, it does some crazy things like that, but that's no big deal. Michael, if you didn't get the new scripts, any members, be sure and just, you know, an email to viperlicensing@vipertradingsystems.com, and Linda will be sure and get those to you. Let's see, my object trader Renko bars are gone now. I hope not. Anybody else have a problem like that? Well, anyway, keep those kind of questions for the end, and between now and tomorrow, no matter what, we'll get everybody's scripts out to them. What are you pressing to put up lightning, John, on your question? Remember, lightning script is actually, let me just show you here. In your indicators, you've always got your lightning scripts. Now remember, lightning 2 is your shift key. Okay, that's your hotkey. So you just simply hold in your shift key and then click your left mouse button at a swing. Same thing with lightning 1. Now lightning 1 is alt key, lightning 3 is control key, and lightning 4 is the backspace key. Okay, those are your 4 lightnings right there. You should be able to see, well, you don't see bars, Charles D. The reason is because what we're going to do, we're going to go over how to get in this trade first, and then I'm going to show these new features on Object Trader. But let's diagnose our chart first, because we need to make sure we know exactly what we're going to do. Okay, so what I like to personally do is draw on my charts. I like to draw support and resistance areas. It's obvious, right? Support and resistance areas. Now, this to me if we can get down this far. Now we don't have our mid-band on here yet, but this is looking like a sweet spot to me right in through here. Okay, that's what I'd be looking for a bounce. Okay, and we did send those out today, Chris, to members. Check your email on that, but I can put those on in the morning. After this webinar, I'm going to be pretty tired. I've been working on this thing for like 10 hours. Okay, let's see. So let's go ahead and see if we don't get in around this little box that we're drawing here. And we've got support at 39, and we've also got support at basically right around 33. Okay, so I pretty much say that we're going to get somewhere in this area like this right here, we're going to get some kind of a bounce and very possibly get a nice trade. Now the reason we designed the new scripts though, because we're going to get a predictor more than likely on this chart, and we're going to be able to take it as a trade. So let's go ahead and look at the new predictor trader. Now if you've got the new scripts, bear with me a second. I don't have a chart on there. Just one second. Go ahead and get Object Trader up. Okay, now let's go over a couple of little housekeeping deals first, because the one thing about these newer type scripts is with these auto features up here, you want to be really careful and you want to know what you are doing with this type of thing turned on, okay? So in the email I put on there, until you know how to use this, don't use it except in sim, okay? Because you need to know how to use it. For instance, if I'm looking for this predictor right here, and right now we haven't drawn another one, but we also said that support is actually right down around this 39, right? Okay, so I'm kind of figuring that we're going to get a predictor somewhere down in here. And so if I wanted to take that, I just simply turn on predictor. Okay, I want to go long, so I'm going to actually do a long inside. You could do touch or you could do close, but I like to do touch. And I'm not going to use any kind of auto or anything like that. I'll just simply set it like that, turn on a couple of contracts or so. Okay. All right. Now what I want to show you first though, let's go ahead and look at the strategy here real quick. If you go into your strategy, I'm going to mess up everything I did just then, but I'm going to show you this anyway. Okay. Be sure and go down to the parameters under general parameters on Object Trader, because some of you have actually clicked set default and it'll always remember that. Okay, so with these new features and everything, you want to probably set start long enabled and start short enabled as false, because that way if you punch in region, it's not going to go ahead and just take that trade. Okay, so what I do personally, you want to set your max quantity. I mean, if your account can afford trading up to 10 contracts, then you set that at 10. Now we put it out today though with this set at 3, okay, and even defaulted at that in the scripts themselves. Okay, so if you want that changed, you want to change this. You know, if for instance, I know some of you trade as many as 10 contracts or even more, then you set this for what you want it to be. 10 contracts, that's the max that Object Trader would trade on this particular chart, that is. Doesn't mean that if you had 5 charts up, it wouldn't trade 50 contracts though. Okay, so again, this is an extremely important area. Be sure to set your max quantity at what you personally are willing to risk at any given moment. And make sure that you turn start long enabled and start short enabled to the false. Okay, you don't want it to be set to true. I'll show you what will happen if it's set to true. I'll set them to true like so. Long enabled, short enabled. Now you'll notice when I put Object Trader up, when it's set like that, that this will be long enabled and short enabled right here on these buttons. Well, that means if I was to put a region in, that's live. Okay, that means if I had that on my live account, the moment this closes below that box or above that box, it would fire either a long or a short trade. Now, obviously, you don't want to do that all the time, so make sure you set that in your parameters to false. Okay? Region always comes up first. Most of these others are set anyway to false. See, that goes to false. Even if I turn that to true, if you go to PM, they go to false automatically. If I turn them to true again, even if I go to PM2, they're disabled. If I turn it to ray or anything like that, see. So the first one that comes up is the region. That's when you start Object Trader. So you want to make sure those are set to disabled. Okay. Now I highlighted that for a reason, because with these new features on Object Trader, like I said, it will fire that trade. And if you happen to have had reverse turned on, you could just keep firing long and short and long and short. Okay, so make sure you set 4B and 4C to false. We did default it that way in the scripts, but when you set default by right-clicking here, that overrides what's in the scripts. These parameters are able to be set any way you want them. Okay, if you don't like green, if you can't see it with your eyes as well as like a blue, change that to blue. You know, if you don't like it and you want it yellow, change it to yellow. Once you change your active color, just simply right-click and set your default. Okay, now let's go over just a little bit before we get into this trade or look for a trade. When you go to the predictor MTF parameter, now if you happen to be installing scripts from another vendor, or if you happen to compile a script, this is going to automatically default to minute. Okay, if you happen to have that happen to you and it goes to like 1 minute like that, then that predictor is not going to be in the right spot. So always make sure that this is set for range and that this is set for 4. Okay, that's the way we trade. Now you could trade it any way you want, but that's the way we do trade in the room. Okay, so before you even start on any chart, you know, this is going to remember this if you set it for default, but it will not remember it if you compile scripts or something. There's a lot of people that put new scripts on from a vendor or something like that. And if you compile those and forget to go back in and change this back to 4 range, you're going to be looking at 1 minute predictors. Okay, now Object Trader has its own set of predictors now. Okay, if you've got your template set to where your indicators are normally showing predictors like this, technically you've got them on there twice. But since I've got the same color and everything and the same 4 range, that's kind of a heads up that they're the same thing. And it'll also give you a heads up because if the predictors are different, like for instance, if I put Object Trader on here, it's going to just literally overwrite this predictor, so it'll just look a little brighter. Okay, so if you had it on a different setting on Object Trader, you'd have 2 sets of predictors. If you want to, you can simply take this one out, you know, set this as your new template if you're using Object Trader on the chart. Remember, if you do that though, that you no longer have predictors on this chart unless you put Object Trader on the chart. Okay, and now I've got predictors again. Okay. Any questions so far? That's just a little bit of housekeeping. I know that took a few minutes, but it's very, very important. Your max contracts, the way these new auto traders are set up, if I set this, for instance, for predictor, and I set it for touch, and I set this like this, and I set it for like, say, 1 tick, if that oscillates around a predictor a couple, 3 times, let's say if I had 2 contracts like this, it could literally fire 2, 2, 2, 2, and 2 because I have this set for 10 contracts, right? See there, 10 contracts. Okay, so you want to make sure that that's no more than you ever want to trade. And keep in mind that this is per chart, so it's very important to make sure that that's the way you want it. If you need to change it, you just simply set it to false, go back up here. Let's say we're willing to do 4 contracts, okay? Right click and set it as your default. And then no matter what you do, it will not fire more than 4 contracts. Okay? Very, very important. We had to build that in because the way these touch around, you know, like high frequency trading, so to speak, if you set this on touch, it could touch that 5 times in a heartbeat. okay? Now, when you set it for close, it won't do that, okay? And it also won't do it if you're not using require trend or auto LESE, okay? Because if it just touches it without these turned on, it will turn these off after the trade is tagged. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let's go ahead and set it for predictor trade. All right, we're going to do a touch plus 2. We're going to do no more than 4 contracts because, see, we can't go more than 4. It's the max. We're going to just do 2. All right, and we're going to wait for predictor to simply get us in the trade. And we've already diagnosed our chart, so let's hope we don't go ahead and break up. If we do, we're going to hit a market order when it takes this out and try to get up here, okay? But as long as it doesn't take out this swing right across here, we're looking for our retracement trade. Now that would be a little bit more of a breakout trade. So let's see if we can get something. Okay, predictor, notice now predictor, when it's drawn right now, it's looking for this trade right this very moment, right there. It's looking 2 ticks above that predictor for that trade. If I wanted it at 1 tick, I just simply set this for 1, and it would look for 1 tick from predictor. Okay, now watch it when it fires, if we get it, that is. It looks like it's going to. It hit resistance. Let's see if we can get a predictor trade. What is BC bar close? I didn't know how to get that in there any better than that, Alex. BC is bar close. PM is PM trades, which are your lightning trades, and predictor trades is predictor. Okay, we'll probably work around that, maybe change the font on it or something like that and get a little bit more in there. Okay, now notice you have another predictor. See how it prints them automatically? So now we're looking for same spot. Let's see if we can get it. We may get a third predictor. You don't know because it's calculating all those prices and everything right now as we speak. And this is a little auto trader, so it will do that trade automatically if it gets within 1 tick of a predictor. There's a third predictor, same spot. Can you believe that? Same spot. Now we said we thought it was going to bounce off about 39, you know, maybe a little lower. Between 39 and 33 is 6 ticks. Take 3 off that, probably 36. You know how I get that? Split it. I don't know if it will, but 33 to 39, my guess would be that if it's going to tag that, it's probably going to do it right about there. We'll see. I'm pretty good at that, drawing those lines on those charts though in that room, you know that. Let's see, just set it up on my trading computer and, okay, yeah. Yeah. Now keep in mind, we're doing this in market replay so we can have actually a little speed. Okay. Now we're looking for 1 tick above predictor and a tick to the upside to confirm it. Okay. If it gets in it, you'll see it actually fire the trade. We've got a 15 tick stop and a 25 tick break even. Probably wouldn't leave it at that. Okay, there's your trade right there, okay? That's a predictor trade within those 1 tick. See, oops, I got double predictors and I'm confused. Oh, Mindy, on that, it's because it's probably set at 1 minute instead. Just check that. Okay. Look at that. That came right to where I said it would. 36, son of a gun. 39, 33, 6. Divided by 2 is 3. Boom. And we're feeling a little bit of heat on it, but not much. You can tell. We're like 40 bucks right now. Okay. Usually what I do personally is I set my stop just under predictor because as a rule, predictor will hold on, well, usually if it's going to crater through, it's going to change directions entirely. Okay. Let's see where this is going because we can actually do another way. Let's say we want to do a runner. And what I want to build into this little thing right here is I want to build in a trail stop that will simply do power meter, like 1. Since we're long, I would want to do a short of 2 contracts, which would get me out of the trade, and that would be my trail stop. Okay, I do want to take some profit though if it comes up to this swing first. Let's see, I have not restarted Ninja. Is this loaded for us now? Well, Dan, we don't load it at all. It's actually in your scripts and everything. Does that mean it will only get in it within 1 tick and then closes up? No, it doesn't have to close up. Now, if I would have set this for close instead, the way this would have done, if it touched the top of the predictor, at least inside it, then it would take a closed bar above it. It would have gotten in on that bar anyway, same spot we got in. But you didn't feel any heat that way either. Does TB have to be long? O and long, what happens if B is inactive? Well, the thing is, keep in mind, predictor is a region. Okay, remember what a region is? If I draw a box, this is my T button right here. We'll just write T. Whoop, that's not a T. Here we go. And I'll go ahead and do a B for the other one too. Let's go ahead and make it nice and big. And then we'll copy that and we'll paste it. And we'll bring it down here and we'll call this one B. Okay, now what that's doing when you do your T and B button, if you're looking for longs, you're looking for the long out of the top of the box, right, on a region? Or at the bottom of the box, if you happen to be looking for, like maybe it's going to give a little bit more of a thrust down and you'll get that support instead. This would be if you were going to go long at the bottom and at the top, you would have it turned on this way. You'd simply have that turned on. Okay? And touch plus like 2 to give an example. Okay? Now, if I wanted to actually buy it at the bottom of the box or at the top, then what I could do is, you know, for instance, if it just kind of cratered through and it never ticked back up and it came down to the bottom and then bounced, you could do it like this. Okay? But most of the time what you're looking at on these predictors, you're wanting just to bounce off of them. Okay? So that's the button you would want to turn on. You don't have to have this one turned on at all right here. You just leave it inactive. Okay? Yeah, you will have to load the scripts, Dan. Just go to File, Utilities, remove Ninja Script, and remove your old Object Trader, and then put in the new one. Okay? Now notice that Predictor fired that trade automatically, right? Okay? That's simply because we turned it on to do so. Okay? Now, if I want to get out of this trade based on, let's say that I want to take some profit up at a swing, but I want to go ahead and take it out with a trail stop, I can do that. And PM1, by the way, is simply going to be looking for a little break below a swing and change this. Now, right now, you're still red, so it's no big deal. We just got our original stop in. Okay, but as soon as it breaks this swing, you should get this thing going green, like that. See there? Okay, so if it does happen to go down and change that to red, it'll get me out of the trade. That's what I want to build into this thing. Now watch that. Power meter is green. We hit a target. Let's turn it back on. We'll get out of just one contract because it'll scale out. That's what it'll do. If it takes out this little swing right here, it'll kill the trade if it does that. Let's see what we get here. Looks like it's kind of topping out. Let's see. Let me see if I got other questions. Okay, good. I think I took care of the questions. See how I'm doing this little trail stop on here? You know, I've got $300 and I've only got one contract left, right? So if this happens to go red, it'll just get me out of the rest of the trade. Now, if I wanted to, I could even flip it by simply turning this on, and that would actually flip me on the trade, okay? Because it's looking for a PM short and reverse the trade like that, which it didn't do. Let's see. May have been too quick, possibly. Let's find out. Let's see if it goes again. Still heading up a little bit though. Let's just use it as our getting out of the trade. If it goes red, we'll get out. Now, does anybody have a question on how to use the predictor thus far? Predictor is simply a region. It's looking at the top of the region. It's looking at the bottom of the region. Okay? Now, if you are staying with the trend, you're only going to want to take longs with green and shorts with whites. Okay, see these whites right here? Those are actually like your short trades right there. Now, if you don't have it set to trend, you can do it both ways even, okay? You could even buy off these bottom ones just like they're green if you just simply leave this turned off. Required trend will not let you go short when the background or when the midband is long, okay? See, I can't even turn that on, so I've got to turn this off to do so, okay? Oh, now we're into a new day. This is another thing that you got to really be careful with. See this line right here? This actually means that you have to turn your trade back on because this went from session to session. Okay, that's when Ninja actually flips over from midnight. So you definitely want to turn that. Okay. Yeah, and the reason for that is because when it goes from a new session or to a new session, it basically negates anything that was on there. You're looking for a whole new day, so to speak. It's just the session lines is what it is. We did that simply because when you draw on a chart, NinjaTrader does not know if you draw a ray from here to here like this, that this is your starting point and this is your secondary point here, because it's a different session entirely. So it really only sees this part of it, which is right here, like so, when it's inside the session like that. Okay? Let's diagnose this thing again. That's actually a high, a low, a lower high. If it breaks down below this 36, we're going to break down. Everybody knows that, right? So couldn't we get ready to do a predictor trade with the trend possibly? Let's see. We'll turn on predictor. We're going to look for a short. We're going to look for a touch. This will be off the bottom. So it'll be something like this right here. Okay, and let's see if we can get something on that part. Now, right now we're bouncing off of predictor, but I don't normally take another predictor when I get lower highs. You got to be real careful with those. Okay. See, it's kind of proving my point as we look at it right now. If it takes out this swing right here, they're going to literally head down, but I'll bet they retrace just a little bit first. Let's see. Yeah, matter of fact, you could even turn this on to take this predictor if you wanted to. It'll actually take it 2 ticks out of the bottom of that box. Or it'll take it 2 ticks above the top of the box if you wanted. I'm going to go with this one here simply because it's testing support so strong. So let's see if it fires right there plus 2 ticks. Nothing yet. Now, you know the way we box in the room, we'd already be short on this, by the way, right? Even though the background is green and everything, keep in mind you can short those mid-band type trades. They do pay off. But when it really pays off, of course, is when it changes actual trends, when you get the red background. See, you've got a sideways background right now, which is telling you they can't make up their mind just yet. Okay, does everybody in the room that's members, do you understand what the PM trade is? That it's simply a lightning type trade. Look at that. There's a predictor, and there's your trade automatically. Right to predictor within 2 ticks, okay? And we could write a runner. We could go ahead and put this here so that we can try to get to the bottom. And I usually put my stop just above predictor like that, just in case this is nothing but a little fake. You don't know at the time because that's kind of an original thrust. Now that's a 12-tick stop, so that's fairly hefty to begin with, right? Now if I wanted to add to this, I could even turn this back on, and 2 more ticks, it would give me 2 more contracts. But that's the max it'll give because we've got it set for 4. Everybody see how to use that? See how that kicked to 4 just then? Now, more than likely, I would probably still put my stop just a little above midband just in case, and with a close of a bar. Now, we don't have much on these trades so far, do we? A little bit. Oh, and predictor already hit the 4 contracts, so we're in a total of 4. Now, what I normally like to do when I'm trading like this is go ahead and turn on like your trail stop, to give an example. You want to make sure you have a trail, especially if you've got like 4 contracts. And you can use an auto trail on this. You can use the PM. You can use the mid-band. Trail 3, for instance, is the mid-band. Let's let this see if it'll break a little bit more, though, before we set our trailing stop. I don't ever set a trailing stop within 1 tick of a trade. It's ludicrous because you got to let it at least get a scalp. And I would say, looking to the left to trade the right, your scalp's at least down here, but that's not enough of a scalp either. So I'd go probably for that little swing right there. Something like that. Okay. And you could definitely, absolutely use the power meter as your stop. See, right now power meter is green. Okay. So when it does go red, if it goes red, that is, let's watch it and see if it does. I'll speed this up a little bit. This is pretty slow. If this goes red, you could simply turn on your trail stop accordingly. Look at that. It's almost going to get us. It's got to close. Got to close the bar above that mid-band. See how it came really, really close to our stop line? The reason for that is because it's just trying to test that mid-band. Look at that, touch my line. See it? That's one beauty about Object Trader I really like. See how that does not take you out of the trade? Because I've got it set for exit on close. Now, if it closes above the line, it will fire it out. And I would go ahead and move my stop now to the wick. To the wick. Bear with me a second. I got some more questions coming in. It actually took the predictor plus 2 ticks short. Absolutely, didn't it? It's pretty cool. Now keep in mind that I felt some heat on this because I actually shorted right here. Okay. Notice that it came halfway into predictor, which you can also set for that too. Now, I personally like to take these trades on these predictors, even like, let's say start with like 1 contract to give an example, and then go ahead and add on, you know, like the mid-band trade to give an example. So you could just turn on the top of it. See, I can actually close these out and I'll show you if it'll actually fire it. If I wanted to get with, well, we're not going to get within a tick of that, so I guess we won't. I'll go ahead and add them again. I added those manually. You do have manual features on Object Trader too. This was really slow, wasn't it, during the night? Now we're up. Now we're cooking. Okay, now notice my power meter went red. Okay, I've still got 4 contracts on, so let's see if we can get our first target out of the way first. Hopefully, anyway. This is pretty sideways, but let's just see what we get. Notice how if you got 4 contracts, you can go from 200 to 100 in a heartbeat. But you want to just turn on the power meter. Let's watch it and see. I'm going to build that in as an automatic stop. There you go. Let's turn on power meter, and we'll get out of the trade if it goes long above power meter. There you go. You just got out of 2. See how we got out of some because it hit power meter like that? Now I can also add with power meter because this is actually a feature that's built into Object Trader, and see that went red, so I just added again. Everybody see that? That's a pretty good feature too. You just got to know how to use it and be quick at it. Does that look like another predictor trade? Look at that, right on the money. Now, will all predictors be on the money? No. No, they won't. How did I see that, David? Because what we're looking at, did you notice what happened here is it actually went green on my power meter, so I took it out of the trade, okay? But notice how this was stair-stepping up at the time. That's why it took us out of the trade, okay? But notice how it started stair-stepping back down when it did a high, a low, a lower high, and took this out. So we actually added contracts by doing that. See, to give an example, I can even add, well, we're already too late now. See, the power meter just went red. Okay. Now, if I want out of this trade, I got 2 left on. If it goes power meter green, I can use that as a trail stop. Oh, I know. I agree with you totally, Ed. Ed was saying, you know, how anybody can look at more than one chart is amazing. And that is the truth about the matter. It is tough to look at more than one chart. By the way, we're really heading down. We got lost our target. Sorry about that. Just a second. Sorry about that. Okay, everybody see this trade right here? Predictor? Could we take a predictor trade? Let's do it. See if we can get it quick enough. 2 ticks under it. Let's see if we can get it. Predictor would fire it right there. Whoop, we turned it off, didn't we? Bear with me a second. See if we can get that. Maybe too late. No, won't be too late. There, that should have fired that. That should have fired that. I'm not sure exactly why that didn't. It could be that, oh, I see why it didn't, because that predictor showed up. The predictor was higher, so you'd never get that trade. That's okay. We'll get another one. Everybody see that why? When that got out past this one, it'll still fire it, but it won't if another one forms. Okay, because this predictor is up higher. So it's saying, you know what? I think we're going to go higher. There, it just fired it again. Set your target. We've only got 2 contracts, so we got 2 places to go. Right at the very bottom. Pretty fabulous little trader, actually. And by the way, what I like to personally do too, and we see this all the time, okay? I was actually trading this morning. This happens an awful lot when they start going sideways. See this double bottom right here? Did you know you can actually use this little tool right here, but we're too late because it already went green. But everybody see that? Would have fired right through there. Now we just got to wait for it to pull back and see if we can get into it on a PM trade. See if we can get one. Just went red. See if it goes green. Don't like that one at all. That's not my favorite trade right there. See why? Because it fired it on the PM. I'm going to go one more time though. If this goes green. See how that did that with lightning? And there you go. You got you another trade. Now, why would I not want to take this particular predictor? The same reason I didn't take the other one up here. Double bottom here, you had a higher low here. So what usually happens, same thing that happened over here. You had a high, you had a low, you had a lower high, right? And what do? They sit at a double bottom, they start breaking down, they break below support, then you get your change of background. Look at that change of background. Okay? Everybody see that? Now, you want to see how to use the predictor again, and I'll show you how to utilize it. Basically, let's slow this down a little bit. I got it going 100 times. See if we can get a trade. I'm going to turn on predictor on a long trade. And then immediately when I get into it, I'm going to turn on my trail stop. Just in case the predictor doesn't work. That's what I want to build into Object Trader automatically. I'll show you why. Okay, you've got support right here, right there. You got resistance support right here. That's not enough pullback to me like that right there. If this does bounce right here, we'll go ahead and take it, okay? But you got to be real careful if it doesn't bounce here because your sweet spot's really around mid-band. But we're going to take it anyway if we do get a predictor. We'll do a touch plus 2. And we'll do the top of the box like that. See if we can get it. Oh, you're right. Thank you. Predictor. There we go. Just got to remember which object type you're on, right? Yeah, we got it now. Sorry about that. I missed that. Now, there's one trade that I want to add to Object Trader. Right now, this is just called the predictor trade, but we do have one that will be coming called the predictor PM. What it will do is, for instance, well, like even here, for instance, it touched a predictor, it did a PM long, okay? Let's see what this one does here. So far, you got a little thrust down. Didn't get down to predictor yet, so we're not in the trade. It's not in there yet, David. It's going to be added. There's 2 other trades that are being added to Object Trader as we speak, slowly but surely. What I'm trying to do tonight, though, is show how to use Object Trader with the new features and how to avoid some of these trades, for instance, that, okay, you just got a trade. Now I'm going to turn on predictor, no, not predictor, but PM to get out of the trade if this does go against me with what we call a power meter type. Because this is one area that I see all the time that's around mid-band. See there, you're feeling some heat. But if it does what we call a power meter to the downside, we'll go ahead and get out of the trade to begin with. And to me, let's see if we can get a green first, though. We don't have a green yet. I'll actually put my stop just under there, simply because that's support and that's exit on close. That way we're not risking a whole lot on that trade, $200. I think this is going to give us more than likely the trade I'm telling you about, the predictor PM. Yeah, see, that's the thing. It was already going down. Now you could turn it on, though. See there? Power meter just went green, so we're okay. So we could move our stop out of the way and just let it take it out on a PM instead. It'll do it right there on a bar close. You're flat. Okay. Got another predictor down here. Going to turn it on. Now, my favorite is still the predictor trade, but the predictor PM is not a bad idea. I mean, to give you an example, if this was to go green on the power meter, you would get in the trade. Now, the way this is set right now, predictor will take this trade at a touch +2, okay? If that gets within 2 ticks, it'll fire it. Almost got there. Predictor needs change. You're right. One more time. Thank you. Touch plus. There we go. We're in. Okay, see our predictor trade. We'll get our target out of the way. We'll get a scalp target, like at least a mid-band. Okay. And we'll put our stop underneath predictor just in case it decides to crater this thing, which they sometimes do. Now notice how this little predictor will actually take this trade automatically. Okay. Now let me show you another little trick that you might want to do. We're in on a predictor trade, but we can add by scaling in on a power meter trade. If that goes green, it'll add 2 contracts. That's if it takes out this little swing with a close. Not yet. If it goes green, it'll add them. 4 contracts. Everybody see how cool that little feature is? Now, I'm going to add something that I think you're going to really like too. It's going to be called real-time lightning, because right now you notice that power meter is green. So you can't add any contracts with power meter until it changes directions. But what I'm going to do with our programmer is get it to where it recognizes every single swing. You know, for instance, let's say that it goes up a little bit, and then it goes down a little bit, and then it goes up a little bit, like so. All right, it would go that contract, right? But then what if it did this and then broke again? This is what I want this to be able to see. Is, for instance, let's say that I wanted 1 contract here, 2nd contract here, 3rd contract. See what I'm getting at? As it does its lightning dance up. And I think that would be a very, very good trading system to do that, because see, power meter will not change back to red until it starts dancing back down the other way. Okay, so we're going to add that also. Oh, does it go up quite a bit? I think we closed the room. We got that oil trade, by the way, in the room this morning, remember? Gary, isn't that equivalent to add on bar close up or down? No, not at all. Leon, your question? Bar close would simply be, if I wanted to add a contract on a bar close, I'd add one here, 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 and here. I can do that with this auto feature. But to break a swing, it has to actually break that swing. So when this meter went green was on that bar right here. That's a little breakout trade. But watch what they do as they head up. Everybody said it went up after this, so let's just see. We'll draw our lightning. There's our lightning so far. Let's just get our targets out of the way for the fun of it, except we're going to take some profit, obviously. You don't ever want to leave all your contracts because you're liable to go right back below cost. So what you describe as a micro PM trade, exactly. And a micro PM trade could make a world of difference in your trading account, because as these things head up, you know, we could start, instead of with like 4 contracts down here or even 2, you could do one as it pulls back and checks support, breaks, another one, and you know, that would make a world of difference, because as you see this thing doing the lightning dance up, you could just keep adding. And you know, that's the way a lot of people make a lot of money, is those additions. Okay, watch and see if it doesn't do just what we're talking about. We'll leave lightning on the chart here. Let's speed it up a little bit. We'll just ride 1 contract See the lightning? What this would do, it would add one contract here, it would add one contract here. Didn't do any lightning there, see? It would add another contract if it takes out this top. Everybody see that? Now, we can also use, like I said, we can use our trail stop as PM. And matter of fact, whoa, what a trade. You could use your PM. Let's just use our PM. We'll get out of the trade. If it happens to break PM, we'll do PM 2. See, it's still green. So if it breaks this little swing here, that should take us out. That's if it takes that out. What a monster. All it did is come down and check that swing right there. Leave your PM on. See the PM. We'll go back to power meter 1 to get out of the trade. 03, so it's sold at targets. You could actually do that too, absolutely. See, the sky's the limit with what we've developed in Object Trader, because lightning is the key to trading. I can promise you it is. Okay, we got out of... one thing about this PM, by the way, if you want it to actually do its thing, if you get these moves up like this and it changes PM, it turns this off. I've got to get the programmer to work on that because I don't like that. Look at that predictor trade again if you wanted it. Could you trade like this? Absolutely. Look at this. You just jump in. See there? Turn your power meter on to the downside. We got 3 on, so we better take 3 off. .5, there you go, you're flat. Okay, now does that mean we should have flattened here? Power meter 1 is very quick. Power meter 2 is what I would probably recommend doing when you've got monster money in a trade, because let me show you the difference in power meter 2. I'm going to take 1 off. I'm going to put 2 on. See the difference? You wouldn't even have gotten out of this trade. That never closed below here. So this is still pretty much stair-stepping up. Okay? Let's see. You always say that lightning is the key to trading, but you take most of your trades early before. Well, take in mind, though, Brian, on your question, lightning is the key to adding on to trades, and also it's the key really to knowing what the shorter-term trend is. Okay? Because to give you an example, could you actually, for instance, when this started doing a high here, lower high, and took this swing out, could you have shorted that? With our power meter, you could, because you just turn it on power meter 2, and it would have taken that trade. Now, I'm kind of a support guy. See that right there? I'd probably be looking for a PM trade to the upside, right across here, like that. See, that's a good lightning trade. But you're right, Brian, on this trade in the room, I'd already be in this trade right here rather than clear up here. Because I draw my lines on my chart, I see them in real time, and I look for those predictor trades. I look for the phantom trades. Keep in mind, predictor trades are lightning trades. Phantom trades are deep retracement trades. A phantom trade, first time in after a trend change, is 80 to 85% profitable. High probability trade, at least from phantom to mid-band. Okay, and if you want to take it out at mid-band, you certainly can, and just put all your targets just right around mid-band like that. You know, who cares if it goes to the moon? You see what I mean? Because that's resistance right there if you look to the left, right over here. See that little resistance area right there? That wouldn't be a bad place to take some coin, would it? By the way, this predictor right here, if you wanted to, you can also trade it both directions. See there? predictor, you can trade it both directions. Now, if you did this particular trade, I would probably highly recommend even getting out if it takes out mid-band, the middle of the predictor. See, we've designed this so that you can even short predictors at the top. You can do trend only, so you could, well, you could still do this as far as that goes, except with trend, you wouldn't be able to short that. See, for instance, if I turn on trend here, I can't short because the trend is up. Now, I can short manually like that, okay? But I can't do it with the auto feature. Now, one thing I want everybody to do that's members with us, take this new trader and play with it to your heart's content. Download some market replay even, you know, play with it in sim, learn every detail about it. Can you reverse at the predictor to get to below? Absolutely. You want to? I don't know if it'll work, but let's just do it. So we're going to go long on predictor reverse. And that'll actually reverse that trade. There you go. You just reversed it. Got right to a predictor within, well, we had it set for 3 ticks. Yeah, that's one beauty of this thing when it's in sideways action, you know, and you look at these predictors and they bounce off of them, you can have this auto predictor actually take the trade for you. Now, I think we only lost on one trade, didn't we, on using this thing today? It is really cool, Mark, if it's in a channel, because when they're in a channel, what they're usually doing is they're going from predictor to predictor to predictor to predictor, and you'll see it over and over. And to give an example, let's say that you just wanted to reverse at predictor. Right now, your predictor is all the way up here. Now, that's a higher predictor, but if you did set this like this, you'd just simply set it like this. Come on, and turn that on. And that would actually take that trade if it gets there. Now, if it doesn't get there, it wouldn't do it. Okay. Now, I'd probably protect my trade if this goes red, because this is like boxing in, like that. And if it takes that out, I'd be out of the trade. SE didn't stay on. That's one thing that if you turn this on, it will. But you'd have to turn this off, so we'd do it like that. Yeah, auto LESE will keep it turned on. Exit on close, we'll be out of that trade. Now, could we flip it there? Absolutely. So when will we have auto predictor tomorrow when we boot up, or do I need another script? Now, Dan, in your email, you should have the object power trader 0711, which is tomorrow, 17 _ 3012. You should already have that. David says Viper has always been awesome and keeps getting better. Well, the one thing we want to do with this, matter of fact, here's a little long trade. See that predictor? You could always put your stop just underneath the swing even. See that swing right there? Predictor. You're feeling a little heat on that one. That predictor may work, may not. See, it just bounced off support. Let's see if it works. Brian, I can Skype you the file, absolutely. Let's see, Bit Confused MG Max says on the TMB button, I'll be happy to go over that, and then we're going to have to wrap, okay? Everybody sees, though, how to use it as far as that goes, but let me go over that TMB button again so that it's not confusing. I'm going to go ahead and close the trade out. We don't care. All right. Bear with me a second. We'll get rid of Lightning and Lightning 1, okay? Now, I'm going to just go get me some space up here so I can do this. Okay, just keep in mind that predictor is literally, let's just say this is predictor right here. Like so, okay? this predictor is actually a region as far as Object Trader is concerned. It's looking at the top of the box for the T button and the bottom of the box for the B button. Now everybody knows that you can actually do the bottom of the box for long, the top of the box for long, right? You can do the bottom of the box for a short outside. You can do the top of the box for a long outside. You can do the bottom of the box for even a short inside, which means, let's say if I had it set for 3 ticks, it would actually fire the trade short within 3 ticks of the bottom of the box instead. Okay, this is all built into Object Trader, so you can touch plus, close plus. Okay, so the T button just simply means the top of the box, the B means the bottom of the box. Yeah, Dan, I can help you real quick after. Okay, do you understand that now, Justin, on the top and the bottom of the box? I'll show you a place to go to if you want to see exactly how that does. Bear with me a second. We've got a little legend on our website. Let me go into the members area real quick. Okay, I'm in the members area. If you'll scroll down in your members area, there's trade types for Object Trader, sniper line type setups, and even your trade type buttons explained with hotkeys. Okay, this particular PDF here shows what the T button and the B button do, because they have long out, short out, long out, long I, short I. Okay, they have long O, short O, right? Long I, short I for each button. And each one of those will do inside the box or outside the box. It's really real simple. If you actually consider the box, say, to be like just a top, for instance, and then the bottom being a breakout type trade, right? Then obviously outside the box would just mean above or below. If you did a touch, it would just simply be a touch below or a touch above. Okay, you can set this box any way you want it. I mean, you can do long outside, you can do long inside. You know, like for instance, if I was setting up this trade that was way back in 2015, you know, and you saw this mid band right here, okay, if we told you to box it in the room, we would have boxed it in right here above those 2 candles and you would have fired on that bar. Right? That's exactly the way we teach it. And you would have gotten that nice monster trade. This trade right here, you know, it came a little bit below mid-band, but still held your support. So basically this one I'd box in right through here actually, because you could see lightning, thrust, retrace, thrust. That bar right there broke lightning and it thrust up and headed up. And that's what we use that box for. Let's see, on a long predictor, if price comes down to the top and then to the bottom, will it fire 2 contracts? Only if you had it on the auto mode, MG, on your question. Because, for instance, on the predictor trade, when you're looking at this predictor right here, bear with me a second. When you're looking at this predictor, if you had this set for touch plus 2 on long, that would already have fired the trade. See the top of the predictor is right there at that line, and 2 ticks above it would be on this bar right here. Now, would it have fired right here? We don't know without going back. It looks to me like it wouldn't have, because it came down and didn't go back up, but it may have gone back up. You see what I mean? Because this could have done a thrust down, a tick back up, and it would have fired 2 ticks above that. But if you did have this on with auto LESE and this turned on like so, this would actually fire. You'll see it fire in just a second. Touch plus, okay? But if it just craters through, you could, for instance, also set it like this, and it would fire off the bottom like that, okay? So yeah, it'll actually do it. You want to see if it'll just go ahead and do it? We're at touch plus 3. We're about to run out of time because of I don't have very much left on this thing. It's almost at the end of it. predictor, touch plus 3. That should have actually fired right there. We may have missed that trade because, oh, we did, because it's out past it. See there? It's out past it. So we're not going to get a trade again until it gets within it and then tries to bounce. And it may be trying to figure out another predictor right now. So you may not get that trade because X bars after it, it won't fire it. And I'll have to find out from the programmer how many he put on there. I would probably just go ahead and do this when I saw this happen, because it looks to me like it's going to bounce right there off support. And I would probably just go for a scalp, something like that, see if it works. It's already at the end of it. We can't. It's 3:15. It's over. Okay, let's see. Jay says, I didn't get the new scripts today. Can you have Linda send them to me? There were quite a few people, Jay, that asked that. So everybody check your email first, though, because I sent it to every single subscriber. It could have gone to your spam folder, possibly. But if it's not there, send an email to viperlicensing@vipertradingsystems.com, and Linda will get that to you. Okay? Oh, it is there? You got it all set up, Lee? Good. Okay, because we sent them out, but, you know, anytime we send out new scripts, it takes a while for everybody to get them, you know, emails and everything. Okay, we're trying to make Viper the best tool you can possibly have. You know, not saying it's the magic bullet, because you still have to discretionarily go along with our teachings and everything and see what's going on. There are certain predictors you're not going to want to take. You know, this one I would have been a little more leery to take to begin with, because you have a high, you got a low, you got a lower high, and they did take out that low. Okay, so this predictor I would be a little less likely to take. Okay, any questions? I would highly recommend to just play around with it in sim anytime the market's open and study and see how predictor works. You know how to use regions, so it's the same thing. It's just simply it's got a whole bunch of regions on the chart. Which markets have I tested it the most, Mary? Well, you know, we've looked at this predictor for a long time, and I think it works best when you get a good ABC. But what I normally like to do is at least dip the toe. You know, to give an example, like even on this trade here, this would have fired right here, and we did get taken out of the trade, okay? But it got us back in down here. You know, this one back here, if I remember right, even did the same thing. See, most times you're going to get this type of movement, A, B, C, okay? That's a little riskier, but it's at mid-band. It was above the swing. Would that be a decent trade? Well, it turned out it didn't even scalp it. But if you use the feature of power meter, let's say that you did get in here and it did this, it came up, came here, came up, you got a green power meter. The moment it took this bar out, it took you out. And then you got right back in here, and that was a monster move. So I don't think it would hurt, you know, on that particular trade at all. If you're one that likes to get closer to real support resistance areas, you know, for instance, like when I see these a priori swings, I salivate on those things, because you've got a thrust, you've got a retrace. See that number right there? But notice if you had some kind of auto trader set up, it only came to 4403. But look where that predictor showed up. And that's what happens most times. They'll break resistance, boom, they'll come back and test it as support. And these predictors will sure draw and, you know, give you some good moves. Now, what if this one would have done a thrust, retrace, higher, low, and just kept on trucking? But since it didn't, you just got taken out of the trade, no big deal. Just don't load the boat on any trade until you see what direction it's really going. And what I would like to see, and I'll wrap because I know we're running out of time, would be, you know, get in 1, get in 2, get in 3, get in 4. I wouldn't be in my 4th one till way up here, and you'd probably be average somewhere in here. because that way you're not taking a chance. With 4, you know, let's say that this would have done something different. It would have come down and tested support and then just cratered it. And if you had 4 in with a 15 tick stop, that's $600, which can make a difference in your P&L pretty quickly. Okay. Add-on lightning will be great. When do you think that will be? It's in a video that I sent our programmer, and it's easy to do. I mean, as far as, well, programming, I'm sure is easy for him because he's a programmer, but my idea of seeing it is lightning. Okay, let's see. I think I got everybody. I hope everybody enjoyed this. Keep in mind, if you're here on our kind of getting acquainted with us this week, we've come a long ways. I mean, we have got some really, really good scripts. And, you know, we are interested in people being able to trade the markets and make money. And I think we've developed some great, great tools to do so. Mark, I can Skype you the scripts, and Brian, I'll Skype you the scripts, and Dan, I'll help you in just a few minutes, and Christine, I'll help you in a few minutes after that. After that, I may just go and sit and relax because I've had a long, long day. All right. Thanks everybody for coming. Hope you enjoyed it. It was recorded, and I'll put it up on the website. All right. Everybody have a good evening. Dan, on your question, yeah, just a couple of minutes or so. I'm going to Skype those other two to Mark and Brian. Okay. Good night, everyone.